Bauhaus made many significant contributions to art and architecture. In Gropius's manifesto, he talks about combining art and architecture as one to build this new future and hope. Several famous modernist architects were also teachers at the Bauhaus. Some key features of the Bauhaus building is its flat roof, curtain walls and large glazing, a muted color palette, and rectangular forms with clean lines. The New Objectivity was an art movement in Germany, but it sort of marks the start of where the entirety of Europe and America started to move towards this modernist age. This idea of a pure, clean form rather than a ornate neoclassical style. After the war, people felt like they couldn't go back to how they lived before the war had started. So now people were looking towards this new way of living. There was this idea of cleansing from the past and then moving towards this new way of life. Modernism tend to look to technology as a source of inspiration. Functionality and efficiency became the main focus for building. Some common design elements in modernism include open floor plans, and this allowed flexibility within a space. Curtain walls give a building that distinct, lightweight facade. Minimalism, which included little to no ornamentation, and modern building materials, which included steel, glass, and concrete.
So, talking about the influence and impact of the global events on modernism around social, technological, and economical factors, we can discuss about social events like Industrial Revolution between 1760 to 1820 and post-war war and Bauhaus movement and so on. So my first point of discussion will be Industrial Revolution, and as we all know, it took place in late 17th and early 18th that led to complete changes in how we look at things and changes in how things were made. And we can say that it has stopped by this day because we can still experience the revolutions in modern industries as well. However, it influenced the acceleration of production and building of factories, new interior typologies like railroads, and new machinery, and so on. Additionally, large icons like Eiffel Tower were built to represent the advancement of the success of the new era, and our way of living was completely transformed globally by new inventions like light bulb and development in transportation and communication as well. And talking about the post-World War II, modernism dominated design and architecture came into society, and the focus was on new materials and functionality and simplicity because that was a time that nations were rebuilding from the World War. And as a result of that, affordable homes with large windows, open areas, and connections to outdoors were created by architects. And the expansion of the suburbs took place quickly at this time that resulted in new family lifestyles. Lastly, the Bauhaus movement was mainly focused on bringing art, craft, and technology together. For instance, the famous Frankfurt kitchen was built to make housework easier and more efficient, and architects like Le Corbusier showed how fitted homes could be both practical and stylish in improving everyday life through smart design.
Now I'll be talking about International Style, Unit Learning Outline 3. The evolution in contemporary architecture of key design methodologies reveal a vibrant interplay between cultural identity, traditional knowledge, scientific philosophy, and technological innovations. This is a dynamic tension between universal modernist ideals, and cultural responsive design approaches, which is reflected in the evolution of design practitioners. Solutions for modern society homes were characterized by early European modernists like Le Corbusier, who was famously distinguished machines for living, emphasizing efficiency, abstraction, and standardized forms. Often, architecture was presented as a definitive social solution without engaging broader public input, as their communication style was largely top-down and perspective. It failed due to public resistance, as it failed to consider human comfort and local preference, even though this methodology was groundbreaking. Consumer-driven pragmatic methodology was embraced by American designers such as Henry Dreyfuss and Raymond Loewy. Loewy's most advanced yet acceptable, also known as Maya principle, strategically balanced novelty with familiarity to enhance market acceptance, while Dreyfuss introduced human factors designs which focused on research and ergonomics to create products suited to everyday uses. Iconic mass-produced objects with both aesthetics and functional appeal were produced by consumer-centered communication, which fostered a two-way dialogue with users. These contemporary design approaches, including Black modernism, advance this discussion by putting cultural retention first, engaging community participation, and enhancing spatial justice in architectural practice. As Michael Marshall and Sean Picken explain, this practice engages value-inclusive and intentional design approaches in moving the design model away from a top-down hierarchy to an intersubjective model of co-creation attentive to lived realities and shared agency. Concurrently, vernacular heritage-based methodologies emphasizes gaining knowledge from native construction techniques to nurture architectural design, conforming to material, social, and emotional requirements to preserve intangible cultural heritage while promoting sustainability. Designers like Aldo van Eyck and Christopher Alexander illustrate how native spatial relationships can inspire integrative design procedures embedded profoundly in context. A notable regional response to the international style may be found in the split Croatia architectural work of Ivo Radic in the 1960s and 70s. Radic skillfully combined an awareness of Mediterranean climate and regional identity with modernist sensibilities, utilizing shading devices, urban greenery, and creative building technology to pay respects to the environmental and social situation surrounding a rapid urbanization process. Philosophically, advanced transform the scale of practice for architecture as described by So Fujimoto's theory of weak architecture and the primitive future, which dissolve strict spatial distinctions and promote dynamic, malleable environments that transform in tandem with users and developing contextual conditions. Furthermore, the rapid advance of technologies such as artificial intelligence, parametric design software, and digital fabrication techniques redefine the role of the architect as a mediator of advanced collaborative processes that incorporate AI, engineers, and occupants. In short, design methodology and communication development represent a move from perspective hierarchical modernism to an inclusive, culturally sensitive, and technically sophisticated practice. Even though functionalism and simplicity, the underlying principles of the international style, still have influence, they require critical redefinition to accommodate cultural specificity, social justice, and reflective thinking in order to be relevant to contemporary situations. Thank you.